Donald Trump has been indicted for the second time as the first president in the history of the United States, which is an unprecedented event. Trump was impeached by a 232 to 198 vote in the U.S. House of Representatives on Wednesday afternoon. As a result, he will not be able to carry out his duties for the remaining few days of his term. After a nearly 5.5-hour debate, 10 Republican lawmakers, including Liz Cheney, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, voted in favor of the impeachment, in addition to Democrat Republicans. Trump is the only president in American history to have twice been impeached, and multiple members of his party voted against him. Members of the Republican Party who voted for Trump's impeachment include Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, Liz Cheney of Wyoming, John Katko of New York, Fred Upton of Michigan, Zymara Butler of Washington, and Dan Newhausen, Peter Meyer of Michigan, Tom Rice, and David Valladolid of California.
The Capitol security barriers were breached by some protesters. They made it into the Capitol. They came to the House floor, tried to break in. We were barricaded in. They were pounding on the doors. The Capitol Police asked us to get our gas masks, come under our seats. This is mine. And they barricaded the doors with historic furniture. I never thought I'd see this day when I really felt like we were under siege. That's exactly what happened in the Capitol today. And I think every American should be not outraged and angry or even fearful, but heartbroken. That's how I felt. Heartbroken that this country that people have fought and died for, that this Constitution that meant so much to people, they gave everything for it. The stories are endless of the heroes in our past who moved heaven and earth to give us this constitutional republic. And this generation of Americans has to make the decision to reject the anger and the fear that is driving us at each other. That goes to everybody, every elected official, every individual. I take it to myself, I take it to heart. Here's the reality. My guy didn't win in November. He lost the election. And I hated that. But in 4 years, there'll be another election. If we reject this despicable violence, if we shut down this idea that might makes right, and they hurt us so we can hurt them. I do even call on people of faith who teach to love your enemy and to love your neighbor, even if he or she wrongs you, to put that into practice. This is our opportunity. And I think as an elected representative, I'm going to continue to put that into practice. It's allowed me to build relationships and work with people from all walks of life. And I urge us to reject this violence. I urge us to move forward. I urge us to work with one another to protect this amazing, exceptional country. I want to pass it on to my kids and my grandkids. I'm going to go back out tonight when they give us the all clear. Right now, I believe that it's the FBI SWAT team that's protecting us. But I fully intend to go back out to the House floor and continue to debate and continue to make my case and to continue to fight for this free and fair exchange of ideas that sets us apart from every country on the face of the earth. I'll give more updates as I have them. Thanks and God bless.
Hey everybody, it's Peter Meyer here. 24 hours ago I was in the Capitol behind me in the House chambers when Capitol Police sealed us in. We were debating the certification of Arizona's Electoral College votes. Folks tried to get into the chambers. They'd gotten into the rotunda. Tear gas was deployed. Capitol Police told us to put on our smoke hoods. It told us to get down underneath the chairs in case folks started shooting into there before leading us out, guns drawn, to a secure location. For the first time in over 200 years, we lost control of the Capitol yesterday. I've seen folks trying to minimize that, saying, oh, a few windows were broken. 4 people died. There were police officers who are still in the hospital in serious condition. What's more, I've seen others saying knowably, provably false things, claiming, this wasn't us, this was Antifa, this was BLM. We got to this point because a number of folks, a number of politicians, a number of my fellow Republicans told things they knew were lies. They told people there was a stolen election. They told people that, if they came out, that they could change it, that they could put President Trump in power for a second term. They told them this knowing that this wasn't true. They lied, they deceived. They did it either to save their own political skins or to make a quick fundraising buck. It's contemptible. Now, there will be accountability, there will be justice for those who are responsible for what was done yesterday, for those who came into the building, for those who were behind some of the violence that we saw. There may have been a protest out here, but the folks storming that building, that was an act of domestic terrorism. There were pipe bombs strewn around the Capitol grounds and nearby locations. People came in with weapons, with zip ties. You do that to hold hostages. This was a sad day for this country. We didn't have to have it get to this point, and we should never let it get to this point again.
Thankfully, the strength of our Constitution and democracy held, and we emerged today a little battered, but resolved. What happened yesterday is a wake-up call to many, but it's a call to accountability for others. In the past few presidencies, the administrations have been so concerned about even a moment of weakness that the 25th Amendment was invoked during minor surgeries, passing the duties to the vice president while the president was under anesthesia, because even for that moment to have the captain of the ship absent could cause a major catastrophe. Sadly, yesterday, it became evident that not only has the president abdicated his duty to protect the American people and the people's house, he invoked and inflamed passions that only gave fuel to the insurrection that we saw here. When pressed to move and denounce the violence, he barely did so, while of course victimizing himself and seeming to give a wink and a nod to those doing it. All indications are that the president has become unmoored, not just from his duty, nor even his oath, but from reality itself. It is for this reason that I call for the vice president and members of the cabinet to ensure the next few weeks are safe for the American people, and that we have a sane captain of the ship. Section 4 of the 25th Amendment allows a majority of the cabinet and the vice president to assume the duties of the office of presidency until the president is able to himself. It's time to invoke the 25th Amendment and to end this nightmare. We will arise from this, but we cannot forget what led us here. The liars and conspiracy authors are already at it again this morning with false narratives about yesterday's disaster. Here's the truth. The president caused this. The president is unfit, and the president is unwell. And the president must now relinquish control of the executive branch voluntarily or involuntarily. God bless you, and God bless our enduring democracy.
We know that we faced enemies of the Constitution. We know we experienced the insurrection that violated the sanctity of the people's capital and attempted to overturn the duly recorded will of the American people. And we know that the President of the United States incited this insurrection, this armed rebellion against our common country. He must go. He is a clear and present danger to the nation that we all love. Since the presidential election in November, an election the president lost, he has repeatedly lied about the outcome, sowed self-serving doubt about democracy, and unconstitutionally sought to influence state officials to repeal reality. And then came that day of fire we all experienced. The president must be impeached, and I believe the president must be convicted by the Senate, a constitutional remedy that will ensure that the Republic will be safe from this man who was so resolutely determined to tear down the things that we hold dear and that hold us together. Those insurrectionists were not patriots. They were not part of a political base to be catered to and managed. They were domestic terrorists, and justice must prevail. But they did not appear out of a vacuum. They were sent here by the president with words such as a cry to fight like hell. Words matter. Truth matters. Accountability matters. In his public exhortations to him, the president saw the insurrectionists not as the foes of freedom, as they are, but as a means to a terrible goal, the goal of his personally clinging to power, the goal of thwarting the will of the people, the goal of ending in a fiery and bloody clash nearly 2.5 centuries of our democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Madam Speaker, this is a sad day in our republic, but not as sad or disheartening as the violence we witnessed in the Capitol last Wednesday. We are all responsible. My colleagues are responsible for not condemning rioters this past year, like those who barricaded the doors of the Seattle Police Department and attempted to murder the officers inside. Others, including myself, are responsible for not speaking out sooner, before the president misinformed and inflamed a violent mob who tore down the American flag and brutally beat Capitol Police officers. Madam Speaker, we must all do better. These articles of impeachment are flawed, but I will not use process as an excuse. There is no excuse for President Trump's actions. The president took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Last week, there was a domestic threat at the door of the Capitol, and he did nothing to stop it. That is why, with a heavy heart and clear resolve, I will vote yes on these articles of impeachment.
Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to be here with members of the House leadership, Leader Hoyer, Whip Clyburn, Assistant Speaker Catherine Clark, also with our managers for the impeachment, our lead manager Jamie Raskin, Diana DeGette, David Cicilline, Joaquin Castro, Eric Swalwell, Madeline Dean, and Joe Neguse. I think Ted Lieu and Stacey Pascal are in here electronically one way or another, but we're very proud that they have accepted the responsibility, a responsibility we did not think 1 week ago we would have. Today, in a bipartisan way, the House demonstrated that no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. That Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to our country, and that once again, we honored our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help us God. And now, I sadly, and with a heart broken over what this means to our country, of a president who will incite insurrection, will sign the engrossment of the article of impeachment.
Lawmakers, meanwhile, say Trump is not good for democracy. He has no right to run the country for the rest of the day. Earlier, in December 2019, President Trump admitted his impeachment for the first time. The impeachment bill has been sent to the upper house Senate for further action. Although President Trump denies responsibility for the unprecedented attack on Capitol Hill, he has told supporters to remain calm. Bongshai News, New York.